Hello everyone, welcome you all to Believers Eyes Academy. In today's topic of the day discussion, we will be discussing about Cheetah, Project Cheetah, and also a little bit about the Nauradehi Wildlife Sanctuary, because recently the Madhya Pradesh's Nauradehi Wildlife Sanctuary is considered to be India's third home for the cheetah, which was which was brought in by Namibia very recently under the project Cheetah. So in this particular video, we will try and understand about the Nauradehi Wildlife Sanctuary, a little bit about the project Cheetah, right? And that's all about this particular video as a simple update about what's going on. So if we have to see the context, the Nauradehi Wildlife Sanctuary in Madhya Pradesh is being developed as India's third habitat for cheetahs, following the successful introduction earlier, which was previously done in Kuno National Park, which is in Madhya Pradesh, and then in the Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary as well, right? So what is this Nauradehi Wildlife Sanctuary is all about? So now if you have to talk about the Nauradehi Wildlife Sanctuary, it is spread in Madhya Pradesh, and talking about the spans, it spans across Sagar, Damoh and Narsinghpur districts of Madhya Pradesh, and it is located near the upper Vindhyan range linking Ganga and Narmada basins, proving how fertile the land is, and also proving how conducive the biodiversity could be for, or let's say, as a natural habitat for these cheetahs, right? So this place is very important that it is located or situated in the Vindhyan ranges alongside the Ganga and Narmada river basins, and also it serves as a biological corridor connecting Panna and Satpura tiger reserves, indirectly linking even the Bandhavgarh and even the Rani Durgavati wildlife sanctuaries as well. So this particular Nauradehi Wildlife Sanctuary is not just a wildlife sanctuary or a biodiversity place in itself, but also has a lot of linkages with other tiger reserves as well, other natural biodiverse places as well. For example, your Satpura tiger reserves, and also your Bandhavgarh and Rani Durgavati wildlife sanctuary. So we're talking about all of these wildlife sanctuaries which are pretty much connected, and this proves or gives a huge ecological ground for these newly introduced cheetahs, to make sure that it can even help in building the genetic diversity of that particular cheetah in almost all these sanctuaries as well. And also this could give a very free hand for this cheetah to make sure that they are freely roaming around and to give them that natural habitat vibes. And this landscapes, the landscapes of the Nauradehi Wildlife Sanctuary, right, it's grassland and is filled with scrub forest ecosystem, makes it very conducive, very suitable for cheetah habitation and also prey restoration. So now what is prey restoration, and what is cheetah habitat, and how is it helping, or how Nauradehi Wildlife Sanctuary is helping? If you have to see, this pretty much resembles how it is actually there in African regions, the African grasslands and even all the scrub forest ecosystem, which is the ideal ecosystem for cheetahs as the natural predators. And also this is even more conducive for the prey as well. So now what is a prey and what is a predator? So now if cheetah is a predator, prey is what cheetah eats, for example antelopes, right, and even deers for that matter, right? These are all your prey species. So the Nauradehi Wildlife Sanctuary, naturally being a grassland and also has a scrub forest system, is also conducive for all these antelope and deer species to be even situated, or have even conserved, or even to be placed, which also acts as a natural prey for these cheetahs also, right? So that is also one of the biggest reason why Nauradehi Wildlife Sanctuary has been chosen to be the third home for these cheetahs. So now little we have to also know about the project Cheetah as well. So when was it launched? It was launched in the year 2020 by the National Tiger Conservation Authority under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And to talk about the objective, this was to reintroduce the extinct cheetah, because this particular species of cheetah which we're talking about was totally extinct in Indian subcontinent, Indian soil, and now because of this project Cheetah initiative, it was reintroduced back in the Indian soil. And what is the scientific name of this particular cheetah? It is Acinonyx jubatus, right? So this is the name, Acinonyx and jubatus, which was introduced in India through Project Cheetah, and also to restore and strengthen Indian grasslands as well, ecosystems that have degraded over time. So now, why are cheetahs being helpful in preserving Indian grasslands? Because they are one of the top predators, or we can call them one of the apex predators, who keeps the check of all the prey species who mostly feed on these grasslands. So now the more of these natural predators we have in the ecosystem, it will ensure that it will keep a balance of all the prey community, which ultimately feeds on these grasslands. So hence, this objective of introducing cheetah was not just to bring in the extinct species back to Indian soil, but also restore and conserve the Indian grassland, which was otherwise getting degraded because of overgrazing or overfeeding by these prey, right? So here in the picture you can see all the different cheetahs which were brought, right? Two males, both brothers, 5.5 years old, from a private reserve near Ojjivarango, and then 4.5-year-old male born Erindi Private Game Reserve, right? So all of this was brought in to the Madhya Pradesh, right? 8 Namibian world cheetahs will be reintroduced to Kuno National Park. I think all of these news were pretty much in the paper, in 2020 and even after that as well. So now, talking about the key features of this project Cheetah, there are 4 important aspects. One is, it talks about the international collaboration, because we have brought this cheetahs, we have sourced it from Namibia, South Africa, under the international memorandum of understandings. And also, if we have to talk about the major feature, why have we brought this? To increase or let's say to reduce the overgrazing, or to even conserve the grasslands, and also to reintroduce the extinct cheetah species. And where was this introduced? 3 important sites. So the first was the Kuno National Park, which is in Madhya Pradesh. Second is the Gandhi Sagar Sanctuary. And the third right now is the Nauradehi Wildlife Sanctuary. And all of this is in Madhya Pradesh. Next, talking about the implementation, it is jointly managed by the NTCA and the Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun. And the funding is expected and supported from CAMPA, which is Compensatory Afforestation Fund, and of course the central government allocations made by the government of India. So talking about the significance of this particular issue, first and foremost thing is, this is trying to rewild and conserve the cheetah species. It makes a major step in towards rewilding biodiversity conservation in India, because we're talking about bringing those extinct species of cheetah back into the same soil, right? So it talks about the rewilding and the conservation of the genes, or let's say the conservation of that particular species which was extinct. Second is the ecological connectivity, because it enhances ecological connectivity among protected areas in central India, because we're not talking about just the wildlife sanctuary in which these cheetahs are being introduced, because we're talking about that particular wildlife sanctuary which is interconnected with a lot of other wildlife sanctuaries like Pune, Kuna and all of those things. So now it even helps in gene diversity, right? So now these cheetahs, they tend to move. They have a very vast area where they can actually move, and now the gene pool also can get more diluted, or we can say that it will help in gene diversity, bringing more gene diversity, right? And also this will help these species to grow or expand their natural habitat, right? And also it will help in the ecotourism and livelihoods as well, because now this will boost ecotourism. More and more people would want to come and see the cheetahs which we have sourced from the African countries, and then also it will improve the local livelihoods while improving the grassland management, because we already discussed, because cheetahs being the apex predator, one of the toppest lines in the predator line hierarchy, it will also keep a check of the natural prey as well, and this in turn will also help the grassland management. Next is the global commitment, because it reflects India's commitment, right, in ensuring or safeguarding India's biodiversity, and also it talks about the wildlife restoration efforts done by the government of India. Okay. So last but not the least, there are a few things which the government also needs to take care of, and especially the first and foremost thing is to strengthen the prey base, because the survival of these apex predators like cheetah primarily depends on its prey base, like having more deers, antelopes, or let's say even all those species that cheetahs feed on, right? So improving or strengthening the prey base is also as important as trying to build a very good habitat for these cheetahs to survive. So that is also one of the first and the foremost thing, and is a very crucial step for the protection and the strengthening, or say protection of the conservation of these cheetahs. Second is the continuous monitoring, which has to be very carefully done, because monitoring the movements of these cheetahs, monitoring their lifestyle, monitoring their eating habits, their prey count, right, and even how are they reproducing, right, and even once after they reproduce, taking good care of the babies of the cheetahs, right. So all of these things are also very important. So continuous monitoring is also part and parcel of this particular initiative. So anyway, that's all for this particular video. I hope you have liked the video. Stay tuned for a few more similar kind of videos on our YouTube channel. Signing off, this is Madan Gopal. Have a wonderful day.